All right, everybody, what's going on? Uncle Dad here, by myself, not with just Mike, but I'm with another very handsome gentleman, the filmmaker behind a very cool movie called The Sound. Let's give it up for Brendan Devane. How are you?
I'm doing well, Israel. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Now, watching this movie, but the thing I kept thinking about consistently was how much do you love to climb?
I'm old and broken now, as one might say, but I certainly did a lot of climbing in my younger years. As my dog brings a squeaky toy down here. That's very squeaky. So yeah, I loved it. I left college after I graduated from college in the middle '90s. I moved to a town called Telluride, Colorado, and just got into all those kind of mountain stuff, climbing mountains, rock climbing. I was stupid enough to get into ice climbing, and that's what I mostly did. Um,
Stupid. What do you say? Stupid enough?
because it's known for being hard. It's not necessarily hard as in like difficult, but like you're in cold. Think about where ice forms. It's
Right.
cold, wet, it's dark, it's in the winter time. You bash your knuckles against this ice, the stuff hits you in the face. I think I bled every single time, the hundreds of times. It's just you got pointy things on you. It's just not pleasant. And so, yeah, it was just kind of a joke and on ice climbers that were just, a little bit masochist about it because rock climbing, typically, you're out in the sun. It's not in the middle of winter and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, I used to love to do all that sort of stuff and just general mountain college culture for sure.
I love that. Now, does that mean if there's ever the sound too, that it'll be the ice mountain edition?
No, but
So we kind of just jumped into this, but for our audience that doesn't know, can you just tell them a little bit about your film and about and kind of your involvement in it?
Yeah, sure. It's called The Sound, and it follows a group of kind of like elite, world-class, big wall rock climbers as they attempt to climb this wall that hasn't been climbed in quite some time due to tragic previous events that happened on it. And we kind of follow this one climber who's having a little bit of confidence issues from previous mistakes as he kind of gets dragged in this. And as the climbers ascend up this big wall, they run into this kind of entity that gets in their heads and plays around with their minds. And so it becomes kind of like not just a survival of the climb, but a survival of, themselves due to this alien entity that's messing with them.
I love that. Yeah, and it's what I found very interesting about this film is that there is a lot of I guess I don't know undertones or themes is the right word, but indigenous use in there, right? A lot of you talk about the indigenous nature of things. Was there ever is that a challenge to kind of create a storyline around indigenous type of land, I guess?
Yeah, it is considering, I'm a giant white guy from upstate New York. Right? So I generally don't touch those things. So like Wayne Baker, who plays Chief Eustace, he kind of handled the details of his character and helped with the story. He's an actual Raven Clan chief from
Yeah.
Squamish, British Columbia, and so his wardrobe, he showed up with his own stuff. His wife, Marlana, is a full blood Mohawk, and she made all the wardrobe of the warriors that show up later, who are also indigenous people from Canada. So, I definitely consulted with them about bringing in that storyline. I grew up in upstate New York in a town that carries an Iroquois name, and in the '80s, we all learned about it as part of learning about learning about your own area. We learned about the Native American that kind of I don't want to say founded, but was in that area before
Yeah.
the white settlers came in. And so I've always had a strong connection to that and a firm belief that you know they're right pretty much about everything.
Right.
You know? Let's be honest about it. They were right. So bringing in that storyline, it serves several plot things like yeah, how can an area be closed off? If this was in the U.S., our military is just going to do whatever they want, right? It's not going to make sense. So there are some plot reasons why that indigenous storyline comes up. In the first draft, it's a major storyline that is much more involved. But as things, develop and you winnow down, and you start to get your project on target, it kind of reduced a little bit. But I'm very proud of the indigenous people who worked on the project and what they brought to it. And again, I kind of just gave an outline of an idea and then let them do all the creative work and how they want it to be represented on screen, because obviously that's been an industry issue, right?
Yeah.
Of how indigenous people are portrayed on screen by white male directors like myself, and so the way I deal with it is by not dealing with it and letting them do what they feel like is appropriate for them and their culture.
I mean, that's a pretty smart way to deal with it, I would say. So awesome. I mean, yeah, because it's great because you can see the authenticity and everything. So it's really refreshing to know that you were willing to kind of let them to kind of take the control, the reins of that, right, to tell their story. William Fisher is in this movie, and I'm curious, how did he get involved in this film, and what was that like? Film working with such a legend of the film industry.
Yeah, obviously over the moon when Bill agreed to be in the project. It's an iconic actor in so many good roles. I mean, I'm old enough to remember like Contact and obviously
Yeah.
Armageddon, stuff like that before he got in a prison break and Mom and some of the other things that younger people might know him from. But yeah, just like any other industry, the film industry, maybe even a little more so, is based on personal relationships, right? And there's another actor in this film, Gabe Greenspan, who is represented by the same agent who represents Bill. And after we had made myself and the casting director and her assistant had made up a list of people that we thought about casting in that role, and Bill was honest. But it was about 60 people, right? Your dream castings and then maybe some more realistic ones. And after I cast Gabe, I'm also a big fan of like asking what's the worst that is the worst that can happen. You're gonna say no, right? Okay. This is an industry of no. Like if you can't hear no in the film industry, just get out, go find another thing to do, because you're going to hear no about your script. You're going to hear no about your casting. You're going to hear no about your distribution. You're going to hear no from the film critics, right? You're going to hear a lot of no's in this industry. So I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? So we floated it to the agent after casting Gabe, and Bill read the script and was able to come on. It was a little dicey, not because of anything for Bill, but that was right when SAG went on strike. We were in the middle of our
Mm,
production when SAG went on strike in 2023, and even though we were granted an intern agreement waiver from SAG to keep on shooting, Bill is such a high profile actor that he probably would have had to toe the strike line, on that one.
right.
So, we're glad that we're able to shoot him and get him in there, what an amazing performance, and just personally, what a wonderful person to work with. I hope I could cast Bill in every single thing. If I'm fortunate enough to make some more movies, he's just a really, really stand-up guy, and we are very happy to have him.
That's awesome. Yeah, he does knock it out the park when he comes on screen. It's amazing what he brings, and the years of experience obviously shows on that. If you with this film, there's a lot of and I guess I don't want to give anything away, but how would you describe this film? Because it's like it's not necessarily a horror movie, right? But it's also not necessarily just a thriller. Well, how would you like describe the genre of film?
It's definitely a little genre bending.
Yeah,
When I look back at some of my favorite movies, obviously not just because I'm in the industry, just because I love movies. I think one of the reasons why we all get into making movies is because we love movies, right?
right,
And
of
even
course.
as a kid, we just love movies. And when I look back, I find that a lot of my favorite movies can't be categorized and just this is horror, this is thriller, this is action adventure, right? I think the best ones can pull elements from different genres to kind of blend them. I'd say the overall theme for this, in my mind, is suspense. It's suspense thrill. It's not if you're looking for Saw and blood and guts slasher and stuff like this. This isn't it, right? This is more. I don't want to say a slow burn because that's another different kind of horror. There was another person I know that covered the film that came up with a great term calling it phobia horror, right?
Mm,
Because if you've got a fear of heights, this probably will cause you some anxiety, right? From that.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, even myself as a personal thing, I never like to get boxed into one thing. I think the world operates in the gray and not necessarily in the black and white that everybody wants to think it does, but really we're all operating in the gray. And I'm a fan of that in films as well. It can be funny for a moment at times. It can be very suspenseful for a moment. It can be a thriller. Oh, geez, this is kind of making me scary. Here's a little bit of horror, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, it's action adventure outside on some things. So that's 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 intentional, right? A lot of people would say, some critics are going to say, well, the director needs to pick a lane, right? Do I? Does the film work as it is? Well, if someone doesn't think so, okay, they're entitled to their opinion. Personally, I like the fact that we're not just a straight horror film because we're not. It's just not, right. There's
Right.
there's there's more things going on there. And if I wanted to make a strictly horror film, I probably wouldn't have put it on the side of a big wall rock climb because
Right.
just because of the it's hard with a plot. I think one of the things that makes The Thing such a great movie and being contained horror before that was even a phrase that somebody was talking about. That's how brilliant John Carpenter is and was back then. Is that it's 12 people stuck in an in just a base. They can't get away from each other. They're stuck in a room and they don't know who's infected and who's going to be next. Then you throw the gore of exploding people and spiders walking ahead, right? It becomes crazy.
Right.
But that sort of tension can only be derived by containing your cast in a set spot and not letting them escape, right? And so we
Right.
try to do that when you're on a big rock climb. You're not necessarily in the same room. It's different tension, but you can't escape that. The only way to escape is to fall, right? And so we try to play on some of those themes as well in the film.
Well, it's definitely something I think everybody should check out. We do got to wrap up here, but where can our audience connect with you and learn more about the film?
Well, actually, tomorrow is our release day. It'll be in theaters around the country and available on Amazon, Apple, wherever you get your digital entertainment. So tomorrow, The Sound releases on the 27th.
Awesome. Go check it out, everybody. We'll see you all then. Take care. Thank you for being on.
All right, what's up, everybody? Uncle Dad here, hanging out with somebody who's a legend in the business. I mean, let's be honest. Can we give it up for David Clennon? David, how are you?
I am David Clennon, and I am fine. How are you?
I am so good. It's quite the honor to talk to you. You've been in this business for what? 40 years? Is that right?
Oh, no, 13.
13. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that's a luckier number, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
it is
yeah.
it's quite the just honor to speak to you and get to talk to you, learn from you and all that good stuff. But really right out the gate, we're here to talk about the sound. So I'm curious, how did you get involved in with this film?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll try to make the answer short. Um, my agent called me one day and said, "There's a guy who's making a movie called The Sound, and he wants you to be in the film, and he is a devoted fan of John Carpenter's The Thing." And so I said, "Okay, I'll talk to this guy." And he told me about a film that was going to be a mixture of rock climbing and all of the terrifying things that go with that, and the kind of state of mind that people were in The Thing. It's something was going on in the minds of those characters in The Thing, and something happens to this team of rock climbers that puts them in that same state of mind. Who is the person next to me? Who's on the rope 40 feet above me? Who are these people? I thought I knew. I'm not so sure. So I spoke with, I was interested. Brendan gave me the script of The Sound, and I read it, and I thought this is really intriguing. I will do it. The character is only on screen for about 60 seconds on a computer, someone else's computer screen, but in a way, he's a pivotal character because he puts this whole thing together. And
Right.
so I said yes. I had never seen Brendan's work before. He was virtually a first-time director, so I took a chance, and this turned out to be a really, really good film, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a unique film. I talked to Brendan yesterday, and it's such a unique type of movie, right? Because it's so many different genres in one film, you know. And I am curious, like as an actor, especially for who's been in the game for so long as you have, is there ever a challenge, even if it's like a 60-second, screen time, to speak as truthfully as you read it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you mean for the character to be honest or to be
Yes.
real,
Yes. Yes.
to be 100%. Yeah,
Correct.
that is always a challenge, and I'm not sure that I met that challenge, but I will say that there's a lot of good acting in this film. There are many, to me, many fine performances. One of my favorite being the Radio Man.
Agreed. Agreed.
I love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's it's serious, it's real, it's funny, and I also like him talking on Zoom with Kyle Gass.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Who is an amazing performer himself, and Kyle Gass is like Radio Man's mentor,
Right.
right? And the dynamic between the two of them and the radio guys, trying to solve this mystery. It's wonderful. It's really great, and the actor is first rate. But I think all of the actors are excellent in the film, and the rock climbing is completely believable to me.
For sure. And let me ask you this: how much do you rock climb?
Oh, let's see. I we have some rocks out in the garden. I walk over those rocks every day. No, that's it for me. I don't like heights,
Okay.
and yeah, so I'll pass on the rock climbing. I like to watch it.
Yeah.
I do like to watch it. I love that National Geographic documentary won an Academy Award called Free Solo with
Yes. Yeah.
Alex Honnold. It's the Alex Honnold, the story of Alex Honnold facing, I think it was El Capitan,
Yeah.
and trying again and again and again to do it, and then retreating and then going back again.
Yep.
It's to me, that is a terrifying film because
Mhm.
you're with him up there so high and you're looking down. It's really terrifying. And Brendan Devane, who wrote and directed the sound, he was impressed by that too.
Yeah. And there's a
So
lot
no
of that.
rock climbing for me, Israel.
No rock climbing. Hey, not this time, but maybe one day. In the world of the future of genetic controlling, maybe we can find a way that we can get you robotic arms. I don't know.
Okay, all right. I'll keep an open mind about that.
That's all you can do is keep an open mind, right? That's it.
Right.
With that said about the fears of like Free Solo and how it felt so real, I think that translates a lot into this film too, right? Like there is those fears within our, not just even the heights of things, but the fears within ourself, right? And do you find that enough movies don't talk about the truth of our own fears?
That's a that's really a good question.
Thank you.
Do you have another half hour?
I
We could
wish I
talk
did.
about that. Yeah. No, that's such a great question, and I hope your listeners and viewers and will think about that one because that's really an important question. Watching people face their fears in a movie,
Mhm.
and is it real? Do you believe that that person is experiencing that fear, not acting the fear,
Right.
not acting it, not pretending, but really somehow inside feeling feeling that fear? And then how does that translate into our real lives? Because when we watch movies, we see people all the time in fearful situations, gunfights and um, fist fights and you name it, all kinds of fearful, frightening activities. And is that character experiencing any fear doing this? The Marvel Comics characters come to mind too.
Yeah.
Is because what is interesting to me is that you have to admit, if you're in a frightening situation, you have to admit you're frightened first. You have to say, yeah, I'm frightened. This is a scary situation. Am I going to do the smart thing and back off, or am I going to try to overcome the fear, admit the fear, overcome the fear, and go ahead and do what is what I know is the right thing to do. So you asked a really good question. It's how do you face your fears, and can you admit your fears, and
Yeah.
then how do you decide what decision are you going to make about a situation that is really frightening?
Okay.
So keep asking that question, and because we need some answers, good ones.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think like with film in general, right? It's always about that. It's always about challenging what we feel and all that stuff. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Born on the Fourth of July, and I love that movie because it's really much about, it's based on a real person, right? We all know that, and the way Tom Cruise plays both sides of it, right, before the war and after the war, is absolutely a realistic fear of humanity, right? And what it does to you when it changes to you. So when I think of the sound and tying that together with that, they were dealing with inner issues of what they felt were fearful, right? And so I don't know. I always find those comparisons pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you picked I think a good example, and the book that Ron Kovic
Oh my
wrote
god.
about his experience as a Marine in Vietnam, that's fascinating too. But I think that Oliver Stone made a really good film. They were really true to the book,
Yes.
and it's a film that I recommend. It's not an easy film to
No,
watch.
not at all.
It
Not at all.
doesn't make it doesn't make you feel good about the government of this country which was doing those things in that time. But it's really I think a very well made film, and a great performance by Tom Cruise. And you don't see him doing that kind of thing very often.
You don't, not anymore specifically. Now he just jumps out of buildings. So there you go. If there's ever another sound, maybe we get Tom Cruise in there.
Yeah.
We do got to wrap up, but is there anywhere our audience can connect with you online or learn more about you and all your future work?
Boy, that's really a good question. I have a Facebook page, but I haven't been there. I've got to get back to Facebook. For some reason, I dropped out for about 6 months, and also X Twitter. So I'll try and get back to engaging with people on those two sites. So yeah, Facebook, Dave Clennon, not David. Dave, Dave, my nickname, Dave Clennon. Yeah, Facebook, X, Twitter, and that's all I got right now. And
Okay.
tell everybody. I want to tell everybody to stay tuned to your show.
I appreciate that so much. And be sure to check out The Sound that is officially out in theaters now.
Right.
All right. Take care. Thank you.